In 1973, 8 perfectly healthy people walked into psychiatric hospitals across the United States. They were not in distress, not experiencing psychosis, or not a danger to themselves or anyone else. But no one inside knew that. This was not a mistake. It was an experiment conducted by psychologist David Rosenhan to explore a deeply uncomfortable question. Can trained professionals reliably tell the difference between mental illness and mental health problems once someone has been labeled? To find out, Rosenhan recruited 8 ordinary individuals who were teachers, doctors, graduate students, and painters. When they arrived at different hospitals, they lied about just one thing. They reported hearing unfamiliar voices. Only 3 words: empty, hollow, thud. That alone was enough for every single one of them to be admitted. But here is where the study becomes quietly disturbing. The moment they entered the hospital, they stopped pretending. They behaved exactly as they normally would. They spoke clearly, followed routines, participated in conversations, took notes, and asked when they might be discharged. And yet, nothing changed. Every ordinary behavior was now filtered through the lens of illness. Taking notes became compulsive behavior. Waiting quietly was interpreted as attention seeking. Being polite was described as guarded or strategic. 7 of them were diagnosed with schizophrenia and 1 of them with manic depression. Not a single staff member identified them as psychologically healthy. But interestingly, many patients did. Some real patients quietly pulled them aside and whispered, "You're not like the others. You don't belong here." Those considered abnormal were sometimes able to recognize normalcy more easily than trained professionals. The average stay for the participants was about 19 days, but 1 of them remained hospitalized for nearly 2 months despite repeatedly insisting that they were well. And eventually, they were discharged, but not as healthy individuals, but as patients described as being in remission. When Rosenhan later published this study, the psychiatric field was deeply unsettled. One hospital later challenged him, confident they could now detect imposters. They asked him to secretly send more pseudo patients. He agreed. Over the next few months, the hospital identified 41 suspected imposters, but there was just one problem. Rosenhan hadn't sent anyone. What this revealed was something psychologically profound and slightly uncomfortable. Now, of course, mental health care has evolved significantly since then. Diagnostic systems are more structured, ethical safeguards are stronger, training is more rigorous, and awareness has increased. But the deeper question this experiment leaves us with is timeless. What does it mean to be normal, and who gets to decide? Diagnosis should never be just a checklist of symptoms because human beings are more nuanced than the categories created to describe them. And when we reduce someone to a label, we stop seeing the person and start seeing the category instead. And this can lead to the belief that we are seeing clearly while it is a big psychological blind spot. That's why diagnosis should only guide understanding, but should never eliminate curiosity and compassion. When certainty takes over, we stop asking questions and we risk mistaking interpretation for the truth. And we can only see the truth when we start seeing people with a little more complexity, curiosity, and compassion.